Greetings and welcome everyone to the Application Delivery and Security Masterclass for the month of November. We're now going to begin the webinar. So who's with us today? I'm your host, Dave Potter, and joining us today are special guest presenters, Arvind, Avinash, Lena, and Akshay. And we have a packed agenda today with a lot of topics that I'm really excited to share with you about. So we're looking for today's session to run fairly long. We may be using the whole time allocated to us, that's an hour and a half. In our spotlight topic, dedicating a complete 30 minutes, is introducing our brand new product at Citrix. That is the Citrix App Delivery and Security Service. That is a Citrix managed service. It's brand new. We're going to talk to you about what that is, and we're going to have a live demo to show you exactly how you can use it. Finishing up the spotlight topic and going into product updates, we'll give you a 20-minute update on the Citrix web app and API protection with bot management by Lena. And then finishing things out, Akshay is going to talk to us about what's new with the secure internet access and with a feature for Chrome OS. Finally, closing things out, I'll introduce what's happening or what has been happening recently, as well as what our next topic will be for the month of December. With that, I'm excited for us to get started. But before we do that, the topic today, and in fact, many topics from other webinars were submitted directly by you, our audience. And we invite you to, if you think about something that you'd like to see in the future, shoot us a question over in the Q&A panel, or if you think about it later, email us any suggestions you have at networkingmasterclass@citrix.com. All right, kicking off our spotlight topic is the brand new Citrix App Delivery and Security Service, a Citrix managed product. And kicking off the spotlight topic is our presenter, Arvind. Arvind, are you with us?
Yes, Dave, thank you.
All right, I can hear you well, and I can see your slides.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Arvind from ADC Product Management Team. We are very much excited to present about Citrix App Delivery and Security Service, Citrix Managed. So as Dave mentioned, this is brand new product, which is in tech preview right now. So many of our customers are trying it out, experiencing the product, giving more inputs, how it should shape, all that, and it will be GA soon, and you will start using this product. So first thing, when this product is launched, right? Like first we'll tell about the launch event. If you have missed the launch event, it's okay. There is a recording available online. You can see it. And then we will also tell you why exactly we are building this service and the key value proposition that we are bringing onto the table. You might be already using ADC. So what's additional thing this service is bringing? And with me, I have my colleague Avinash, who will take us through the real product demo, and he will explain whatever I'm showing you and talking about. And we also have some public resources available. We'll share these links in the chat window also. Maybe you can refer to these documents and videos later at your free time. So we launched Citrix App Delivery and Security Service on LinkedIn Live on September 28th. Maybe some of you would have already attended Citrix Launchpad events. We had multiple Launchpad events. So as part of Cloud Launchpad event, we announced this product. So we have the link here on the LinkedIn. So it's live, the recording is live. You can see without missing a minute of the launch. And you can get all the exciting messages, what we talked about during the launch. So the reason why we are doing, many of the customers, not just customers, many of our sales industries have asked why we are building new thing. If you have seen ADC in past couple of decades, it has always been transforming, adapting to the market, adapting to the new technology, addressing new use cases, new customer requirements, right? So here we are just projecting the revenue part, which is very much for the vendors. But if you see the adoption trend in this, the more and more adoption is towards the SaaS offerings. It's no news to us, as many of us are using cloud, and then in the software, in a standalone software in a cloud, and then SaaS offerings on the cloud is the way that everybody is moving. So that's why many of our customers are moving towards those features, that kind of experience. So that's why we want to help our customers taking new requirements and giving them the SaaS experience with the ADC as a service, which we called Citrix App Delivery and Security Service. So here, so one was the market dynamics, which we see people predicting changing. Not just that, like as I said, many of our customers, like when they start using public clouds, they start thinking new. Like when a new technology comes up, it ignites new thought process in us. So even in ADC, that thought process has come, and we clearly see our customers asking about those. Like instead of setting all the rules, why can't product be more intelligent that it can figure out what I need? Maybe I'll just select or I give the minimum information and rest should be figured out by the service itself, right? And the manual to autonomous, it was always there. And the hybrid multi-cloud thing came into the picture. When somebody has to do the same thing across different technologies, different clouds, always automation kicked into the picture. And not even in the cloud, even before that, when somebody is using multiple vendor components, always automation has saved customers, right? And on the self-managed to vendor managed, there are many infrastructure related items which could be avoided by the customers, right? Like they because this is your product, you give us a service offering. Why we should invest in managing the infrastructure? You can offload. Like primarily the small and medium enterprise customers, we clearly see that they don't have resources or knowledge to manage all these vendor components. So they always prefer vendor managed components because they can completely concentrate on their application, their end users, end user experience, latency, all the things that matter to their business. In the licensing way, obviously, as when you're moving to cloud and that to service offerings, fixed licensing doesn't work at all. It's not appealing at all. So that's why we move to consumption-based licensing. So some of these items I'll explain in detail, and then my colleague will show you in real how these things look in the product, right? So all these things we packed into Citrix App Delivery and Security Service, so which comes with an intent-based and self-healing capabilities, which I'll just explain. So with all these things, changes in the market, addressing all those changes, we introduced the Citrix App Delivery and Security Service, and primarily it is built with the human principles. Like as a human, you go to new place, you see the environment being changed. You always learn new things. You cannot just stop learning. Our brain cannot just stop learning. When it sees new thing, when we hear, we always learn. So even for ADS service, when you attach your applications, it learns about applications. It learns about the clients, traffic, internet aware, everything it tries to learn. Obviously, all the data is anonymous. So it tries to learn first, and then always adapting. So after you learn, you have to adapt to the situation. Once you deploy an application, it is not the end of the game, right? It's actually the start of the game. So many things happen after launching the application. Things could go hayway, somebody tries to attack, or some server has some anomaly. So all those things happen. So as we are learning, the knowledge has to be used. So we have some self-healing capabilities wherein you have some intent, something to happen for your application. If it is getting deviated, we bring it back to the normal state, and always protecting the cloud. When we are on the cloud and when we are serving application end users globally, always we have to be safe. Not just our application servers or our data centers, even for the clients, we should be giving them the safe environment to use our applications. So all the security features are packed into the service. So this is the prime aim. So we are intent driven. You have an intent, so that intent gets converted into a configuration and we apply. It's all automatic, right? So if you are double down on the value proposition that we are bringing with the service, one is the Citrix managed. So here you don't have to manage the ADC infrastructure at all. So ADS service will configure, will provision, manage, monitor, troubleshoot. Everything is taken care by either service or our Citrix cloud team, which is behind the scenes. So it is completely taken care by Citrix. The second one is the intent based. You have an intent, you don't have to translate that intent into configuration. We will give an example in the next slide. But basically, just with a single click of an event, you can apply the configuration that is required. Self-healing, You define one intent saying that my application should be served to my customers with this much of latency. If there is any deviation from it, after learning, we implement that learning and we self-correct, we self-heal. So that's the feature that comes with ADS service. The security, if you are already using ADCs and you are already aware of our ADC security portfolio, that is WAF, bot management, API protection. So all those functionalities can be leveraged from ADS service. But what exactly is the difference? The way you consume these policies is very much simplified in the service. So that you can see in the demo as well how it is simplified. And the ITM, intelligent traffic management. So we just made our GSLB more intelligent by giving it the knowledge that we are learning from the internet. We just made it internet aware. So the decisions that will be taken care by GSLB are more advanced, more intuitive, and more appropriate, right? So it sends the client traffic to the best available, best performing site, so that the end user experience is not at all deteriorated or not at all compromised. The analytics, if you are using our ADM service, you might already see the analytics, web insights, security insights, application insights. So all those insights are integrated into the service. So the same differentiation or the same value proposition has been brought into the service. The consumption based, as I said, just to give the SaaS offering, the fixed licensing model doesn't work here. So it's all consumption based, which I'll explain in detail with the pictures. So this is the value proposition that we are bringing with this new service onto your table. So if we go deep down on the intent based, so this is just one example of the intent. We plan to bring more and more intents, more and more simplification. So here, if suppose you have an intent to implement advanced SSL encryption or certify your app with Qualys Lab certified, right? So without this service today, how would you do it? You go to Qualys Lab, you understand the A+ certification requirements, you convert those requirements into your application environment, and then configure, and you manually monitor the compliance all the time, right? So there is so much that you need to do today. But now it is just a click of a checkbox. You just click the checkbox and you set it. The ADS service figure out the latest compliance requirements from the Qualys Lab. It converts, like it already has the configuration, it applies to your application and it monitors. So you can see in the demo live where Avinash will show us how with a single click the app that he will be deploying will become A+ certified. Self-healing. So after setting the intent, like you define that my application should perform with this much of latency, but the game doesn't, or the story doesn't end there, right? So there could be many problems. So maybe just an example, like maybe some server hit some problem and it is not performing and the end user experience is deteriorating. So service identifies that, and immediately if it identifies that a server is causing that problem, maybe it will just sideline that server from the LB group, right? It is not changing anything on the server side. It is just removing that from the LB group. And if there is a requirement to create a need for new application server to match the latency requirement, it will call AWS APIs or the public cloud APIs to spawn a new server, which is already set. So that's how we do the self-healing. Today, we don't have self-healing in the tech preview. It will be available by GA. So maybe we cannot show this in the demo, but we will surely show sometime in the later master classes. And the security portfolio, as I said, if you are already using ADCs and you're already using our security portfolio, the same functionality has been brought here, but it is much simplified, much more simplified. The way you configure policies is all like just a toggle buttons and the very few clicks that you have to do, and you can define policies very easily, which again we will see in the demo. So I'll give you a very high level architecture behind the scenes, how exactly this service is working, right? So in the Citrix cloud, we have Citrix App Delivery Security Service control plane. So this is the control plane, which is completely owned and managed by Citrix, right? So we take the SLAs for this service to be up all the time. And the app admins, network admins, SecOps, everyone log in here and they try to access the service. So first thing they have to do is to create a cloud access profile. So what does a cloud access profile do? So basically it assigns an IAM role so that CAD service has privileges to do the automation in the data plane. So when we call data plane, it is customer owned VPC, but it is managed by Citrix. So the inner box that you see is the Citrix managed infrastructure. And this infrastructure is completely abstracted from the service. So you don't have to bother anything about this box at all. So once you give the privileges, you just go and create your environment or create your site where you want to deploy your applications or where you want to deploy your ADCs, right? Once you click it, with a single click, whatever infrastructure is required, like an auto-scaling ADC is required, agent is required, NAT gateway, internet gateway, NLB, everything is created automatically, provisioned, configured, and monitored automatically. So the only job that customers have to do is take care of their application server part, just to make sure these application servers are up and running. Even for that, we always have analytics on the app side, which can be monitored, right? So this is how we simplify the infrastructure management, monitoring, troubleshooting, all that using Citrix Manage. So this is the high-level architecture, and these are the components. Like I have shown you the small box, right? So these are the components that sit in the box, the ADC infrastructure part, which is completely automated. So every component has a different purpose and everything is configured. So all these are automatically provisioned and configured. And on AWS, obviously our customers have many kind of deployments wherein they have some application servers and ADCs in one VPC. ADCs and application servers are different AVAPC, like the prod or the test environment, production environment, dev environment. They have so many setups with scattered ADCs and application servers. So they are connected through peering, or they are connected through, if those infrastructure is spread across regions and multiple AZs. And again, there is a need to connect them using transit gateway. So basically, there are combinations of deployments which will be supported by this service. And till now, whatever I have talked is a kind of a normal app delivery and security, the standard one. So now, if you want to do multi-site app delivery or GSMP kind of deployments, wherein you have hybrid multi-cloud environments, and you want to make sure your global app users have the better end user experience, right? So we have ADS service within which we have intelligent traffic management. Once you add these sites to the ADS service, it starts collecting the data. It starts learning about the application server traffic, client traffic, internet routes, everything. And when the DNS traffic or the application traffic reaches ITM, it sends the traffic to the best performing site. So that's how it works. So even this, we have a demo which Avinash will be showcasing in the product. On the licensing side, it is completely different and new. So this will come as an annual subscription. We'll have advanced premium only. And we have 2 meters. One is data processed and number of DNS requests. So it's not like Mbps, vCPU, it is data processed and number of DNS requests. That's how we charge. So in the earlier architecture, you have seen the DNS request, right? The number of requests is one of the meter. And for the data processing, I'll just explain in the next picture. So once you have the control plane in the Citrix cloud and the data plane in your environment, this is the customer VPC, we have it. So ADC cluster sitting between your app servers and the application users. So the amount of data processed by the ADC is the entitlements that we are going to sell. So here, there is no allocation. The control plane don't have to allocate any licenses. It consumes, it runs, and it just reports, okay, I have processed this much of data. So how we arrived with the data processing is, if suppose you allocate 200 Mbps to the ADC for 1 year, and you imagine it is running at 200 Mbps capacity for 365 days, how much data it would have processed. So that is the data processing unit we have derived. So do not worry, we will give more information, and we will also give a calculator to convert these. So you don't have to bother about the sizing. It will be as simple as possible. We will simplify it. So this is how these consumption meters are there. So basically ADC processes the data and it reports the consumption. There is no allocation or anything. So because there is no allocation as such, you are not allocating like 200 Mbps or 1 Gbps, there is no wastage of capacity. Because what we have observed is when you allocate capacity, maybe your application is not completely using the capacity all the time, right? Sometimes you'll use maximum, sometimes you'll use minimum, sometimes it is average. So you're not always using complete capacity. So with this, there is no wastage of capacity. And when you allocate, it always is the maximum limit, right? So here you are not allocating, so there is no performance limit at all. And when you are allocating, you have limited capacity, and when you are allocating, you can allocate up to some instances, right? Like it's not an unlimited. But here, when the capacity is not divided and it is pooled at one place, any number of applications can be there and they can consume from that pool itself. How much ever they consume, only that much is deducted. So that way, any number of applications can consume from the same pool. And the on-demand capacity, it is the norm in the cloud. So only when you need, there is a need for capacity, only then you get the capacity. If you don't need it, you don't get it. So that's how the cloud works. So those are some of the features, and also as this is a SaaS product, we try to simplify as much as possible. So the whole operations of the service you can think as 4 critical steps. One is creating the cloud access profile and let ADS service to the all automation. And then you create the environment. It is basically the infrastructure, usually what our networking team does. So that's what is done here. I mean, not exactly on the public cloud networking, but the networking related to the ADC side. So that is done here. And then the app delivery and security, this is what our app teams does, deploying the applications, configuring the applications, securing them, and security is primarily from the SecOps. So they try to define the security policies for all the applications. And then once we deploy the applications and traffic is live, we always see the analytics to understand the end user patterns and the all the internet consumption patterns, demand patterns through the analytics. So that was the simplification, which again, there are much more simplifications which you will see in the demo. So that's why we need to give more importance to the demo, because you always see the product live in performing. And again, in ADC, we have always seen many of our customers integrate ADCs with their existing automation frameworks. So this has always been the top ask from our automation customers. So here also you see in a single click or like multiple few clicks, many of the infrastructure operations are done. And when you call few APIs, same. So much of APIs are internally called. So single API gets converted into 10, 15 internal APIs, and whole automation is kicked in. So this is very much developer friendly. So you can always use ADS service similar to ADCs, the way it is integrated to the automation frameworks. So you have heard about all these things, right? If you try to map within your organizations who can use this product, like this is new product, is it the same set of people who just have to use a different product, or it is addressing new kind of use cases? If you see the application admin, they do not bother anything about the infrastructure, right? They cannot. Their complete focus is on the application. Somebody has to give them the infrastructure for their applications to be deployed, monitored, managed. So here exactly that happens, because complete infrastructure part is abstracted here. No ADC provisioning, no ADC configuration, no ADC upgrade, management, monitoring, right? So application admins can directly use this product and deploy their applications. For the networking and IT admin, they were always doing the heavy lifting of the infrastructure management. Now it is simplified for them, but still there is a role of theirs, because at the end of the day, these applications are running on some infrastructure, and they still have to provide the public cloud infrastructure, or if it is running on the private cloud infrastructure has to be taken care by networking team and IT team, but their job is very much simplified. They can monitor things very easily. for the application team. They don't have to worry about the upgrade, the internal processes that they do for patching or ticket issue. So all those things are offloaded for the networking and IT admin. SecOps, they always configure the security policies, which is very much simplified here. So they would love the way they can consume security portfolio here. And we have much more powerful APIs. Calling one API translates into a lot of automation here. So developers would love the automation here. So within same customer base, we are trying to address multiple personas or multiple use cases of different teams in the same organization. And we like to make sure we are addressing all these. Much more simplicity will be brought into this product, obviously. But this is the plan, or this is the reason why we created ADS service, primarily to address not just one team or one persona within our customer base. We want to address other teams' requirements and other personas also within our customer base. So with that, let's jump to the demo and see the product live working. So Avinash?
Yeah.
Yeah, Avinash, you are the presenter now. We are excited to see the product live and working.
Thanks, Arvind, for the quick intro about the ADS service in such a short and crisp manner. I hope you folks can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thanks. Greetings of the day, team. My name is Avinash, and I'll take a quick live demo about ADS service now. So this is our ADS service onboarding screen. Basically, once you're done with the onboarding, and this would be the landing screen for that. So you have all this left tabs over here, which talks about the home applications, environments, multi-site application analytics, and the users in the cert manager details. And where you have the landing page where you can start right away with download an application. Click on download an app. So once you click on download an app, it gives you the application dashboard, an application dashboard. As I have a couple of applications which are used for, which I'm going to use for the demo purpose. So prior to that, as Arvind has walked you through the architecture diagram, if you remember, the first step, what he has started with creating a cloud access profile. Cloud access profile is the one which gives a list of permissions required by ADS service, and these are the list of permissions as you could see, and you can download that in a form of template, and like you have to create a stack in your AWS cloud. As of now, we support AWS cloud. That's why we mentioned about AWS cloud. So once we start supporting Azure clouds and all, like we'll have a different ecosystem and different ways of creating the IAM roles over there. So once you create this, basically it will give you an end output as an ARN. Just copy that ARN. So by that we'll get access to ADS service to do the application delivery in the customer site or the customer account. So this is like one-time step. Once you're done with this, you don't have to redo this again. The next step, if you look at the way how the step is, and the next step is once you're done with the authorization part. Now you have to create the ADC enrollment over there in the customer account or the customer premises. So here, for an example, I create an environment for ADS service environment for email. Okay, let's select this cap for this is the cloud access profile which I have created in the first step. Now I'll select the region. It will dynamically pull all the regions in your AWS account. Okay, now let's pick London. Now you have 3 availability zones as given by AWS as such. So the same would be even shown over here. You can pick one zone if your application is over here. Let's suppose if your application is spread across multiple availability zones, then you can even select multiple availability zones so that you get the high availability for your application. The next part is pick the application where your VPC is or where you want the ADC environment to be created. In this case, let's suppose I want to create and my ADC environment in so and so via Avinash K VPC. So this VPC, you could create your ADC environment, and if you let's suppose you have this VPC connected to the other VPC in form of VPC peering or through transit gateway, even that would be supported by the time of ZA. You can click on create, and then this is in a matter of around some 15 to 20 minutes, your enrollment would be ready. And this is also like a one-time setup. Like until unless you create an application in a different VPC in a different region, you don't have to create enrollment. In the interest of time, I'm just going with the one which I already deployed. As you could see, the tech preview prod enrollment, which are deployed in Europe, Ireland. I'll leverage the same one even for the application deployment. Now let's switch back to creation of new application. So let's give a name of demo app to November master class. Select the environment where you want the application to be. Now create the service. Now this is a place where I have to create my add my backend service as such. I have a service which is based on API. I want to mention that as API calls. Consider that. And how do you want the application server to be accessed? You want it to be on protocol port protocol HTTP or port 80 or HTTPS, which is our port 443. And you select the app server type. You can even select the app server type. Let's suppose you have an auto scaling backend server, you can go with auto scaling group, or you want to go with an EC2 instance. You can select that, and we will dynamically pull all the backend servers in the customer side. Okay, and this one app server. And let's suppose you have an app server which is based on FQDN. You can even go with that. Or if you have an app server which is based on IP address, you can even go with that option. So all the 4 options are available here. Pretty seamless to use. Create a service. So your service is ready. The next part is creation of application endpoint. Endpoint is place where you provide what type of application access it must be. And as you could see here, as an application access could be of 2 types. One is internal or external access. External access is something, a public facing application, any end user can publicly access it, and internal is something which could be accessed within the VPC or intranet application, you can consider that. So by using some sort of a VPN or that, like you can access that application. And you have this FQDN type. This FQDN type is something where we integrated with AWS Route 53. And let's suppose I want to go with external application and I want to go with an user defined one, which means then I want to leverage my AWS Route 53 of the AWS account. So I have a couple of hosted DNS zones here. Let me pick Citrix NS, and I'll give the app name as demo app November master class. Is my FQDN for this application. Just add that. Create the protocol on which the application you want the access. You want the application FQDN to be listened on port 443 or port 80. This is on the front end side. Okay. So and you have an automatic auto redirect HTTP to HTTPS, which means all the traffic which lands on HTTP for this particular FQDN will be auto redirected to the HTTPS. Now you pick a certificate as is an HTTPS application. Let me pick this certificate. You can upload the certificate here and you can leverage that for any applications. I'll just leverage the one what I already have. Now SSL policy. As Arvind has mentioned that like we have an intent. Let's suppose I want to make sure I want to make sure that I want to have my application to be A+ certified. Okay, which as per the SSL labs. So we have a list of settings which are required for the SSL labs. So we just have a simple checkbox which I'll consider as A+ intent. Okay, I create that, or I already have one. So I just created one A+ intent, which is A+ certificate. So this is based on the SSL lab recommendation, and then you can go ahead and create this environment. As you could see here, you have the list of environments what have been created, and then you can pick one which of your choice. Now you have the default ones. If not, you want to mention or you want to route the traffic based on a particular condition, or this is something which is closely syncs with the content switching of our ADC. I want to route the request based on URL, okay, or I want to route the request based on the request method. I'll say that, and the request method equals to get, then only send the traffic. Oh, okay, I have only one service here. That's the reason why I'll do something. When the request method equals to get, then only send the request to a service API calls as a backend server. This would be my service. Okay, I'll just use the one as I have to have one default service. Now you have the default LP settings here. You want to leverage, you can use that, or you can create an of your choice. LB settings of your choice. Let's suppose I want to go with some other thing apart from least connections like round robin or source IP hash. I can go with that, or you may want to select the stickiness based on my choice. I can go with that. Apart from this, you even have the health checks, which are like monitors, where you can have the custom monitors, where you can have the default monitors like HTTP, HTTPS, T3 and ping monitors, and you can even provide the request URL path where you want to customize that, like you want to check a particular URL, and based on that only you want to make sure whether the application is backend server is up or not. You can do that too. I'll just leverage the default one as of now. The next one is adding the content rules. Content rules is the one which is very powerful. What I could say is you have both the redirect responder categories over here. So anything you want to do with respect to content transformation, with respect to content URL rewrite, insert, all can be done here. Let's suppose I want to request method equals to get, then I want to do any of these action. Let's suppose I want to forward the client IP with header X forwarded for, or I want to do with X forwarded port for, like if you want to forward the port or the protocol, or you want to add some custom header in the request, or you want to add some custom header in response. Let's suppose I want to contain ABC with ADS something. You can add that. The similar way you have the other set of powerful ones like the responder conditions. You can choose the actions, like whether you want to redirect the URL, you want to drop the request, you want to reset the request, or respond with error. Like I want to respond with forbidden access. Then you can have this type of access given as a responder whenever when the request URL consists of test as a value. You can create that too. Now, the next one is the security protection. This is, I mean, a very exhaustive list of application security protection what we have. So where here the first one starts with element block list, where you can provide the ACLs over here. Like let's suppose I want to make sure only a particular type of IPs has to be allowed over here. I can do that, or I can even give a subnet itself over here, and then I can say okay, allow, drop, or reset based on your requirement. You even have this enable, allow, and a block list protection. By default, it is if it is set here, it's like it will log everything. On the similar way, you have SQL injection protection. SQL injection protection you have by default enable, which means it's logs. But once you enable the block, then only it starts blocking any SQL injection protection as such. So you have cross-site scripting, you have buffer overflow, you have geo blocking. Geo blocking is something I want to block a geo. Let's suppose I want to block all the requests coming from India. It will block all the requests over from here, whatever comes from India. And I have the IP reputation. IP reputation is something where we have an database which takes care of all the resources with respect to spam resources, Windows exploits, web exploits, all with respect to bots. With this database updates quite frequently, and then make sure that all the attacks has been blocked with respect to this third-party database what we get from. The rate limiting here to control the attacks, something like brute force attacks and all, like we can create a policy for this. And how do you want to control? Let's suppose I want to control per client matching a specific URL. Let's suppose test123.com, and I want to control the maximum request must be 10 in 5 seconds. The other actions, whatever comes beyond that, has to be reset or drop. You can set those conditions over here. By this way, you can control attacks, or you can block attacks like brute force attacks and all. So you have a simple, easy to use HTTP security headers. This is something where you can use it to have the OWASP recommended security headers. So these are all default by set, and if you want to have any tweaks also, you can make those tweaks and you can add them. So in simple, what we could do is like all the OS top 10 recommendations you can use. You can enable those top 10 OS protection for our AD by using the ADS service. We have a separate blog for that. We provide those details too. You have the cookie consistency. You have the signatures, which are talks about all the WAF signatures, which very detailed based on the type of CVEs, based on the type of references, based on the type of category. Is it based on web API, web CGI, all those things based on Windows Server and all. You have categories over here too. And we even have the bot signatures, like you want to block the request based on the bad bots and all those things. You can enable this, and you can get that enabled for your applications. So it's like a full suite of application security program for you. So in this way, what you could try is like you can try all the end-to-end application delivery and security for this application by leveraging this ADS service. As I'll just go with one of the application which I already have a deployed one. Click on this. This is an application which I have it here. For the same application, let's suppose I try to do some sort of SQL injection. Let's select start from. Let's see what happens. It denies the access because I have enabled the SQL injection protection for this application. As I enable the SQL injection protection for this application, it denies all the attacks with respect to SQL injection protection. Now coming to the other part, which is OLS SSL labs. I want to perform my app URL, test your site certificate and configuration. Let's do this. Submit. As you could see, both the sites, there are two sites for this application, and both the sites are A+. So this is based on the standards of SSL, Qualys SSL labs. We define this intent, which is A+, to make sure that application is highly secure. And so this is what we have for with respect to application. Now let's switch the gears to multi-site. Multi-site is something where you want where you have an application across multiple clouds or on-prem, which is you can consider it as a hybrid multi-cloud, and you want that application to be accessed based on multiple algorithms like round robin or failover, or based on the optimal RTT. You can use this. So let's suppose, as you could see here, I have defined a multi-site app called multi-site app novemberdemo.citrixns.com, and you have multiple locations here. I have two locations here for this application, one with secure app and one with secure app 2, and I have it defined in GSLB method, which is you can define any one of this, round robin, failover, or optimal RTT. Optimal RTT is something which is quite interesting. What happens in the optimal RTT is it looks for the round trip time. Let's suppose as a user you are coming from Europe, it will connect, and you have an app server in Europe, and there is one more user coming from US, and there is an app server in US. The US user will connect to the US server, and the Europe user will connect to the Europe server. So all this happens because of the our multi-site application leverages the internet awareness, which means it looks for where the application user is coming from. If the user comes from US, it connects back to the nearest one, so that the US user will get the lowest latency and the Europe user will get the lowest latency. And this way, we're providing that the lower latency for application, which means internet-aware multi-site application or global traffic management application. Now let's switch to the last one, which is quite interesting, to the analytics part. Now we have a rich suite of analytics over here, which starts from the application analytics. I have this application so and so, which has details like app score, which have details like key metrics. Okay, and you even have the security details, any violations. Let's suppose I just switch to this one, all the violations. One sec. Okay, all the violations with respect to this application. So and so my secure app is there. I have so and so violations, like one violation which is HTML SQL injection production, which I have just tried now. This one that you could see over here. And along with this, you get all the web insights with respect to application, with respect to client side, where the clients are coming from, which location they're coming from, what are the list of client IPs, and what is the request method where they're doing it, what is the response status for those, what are the list of URLs, URIs, and what is the operating system used by the user, what are the list of browsers, any SSLs, any SSL uses, like very exhaustive list of analytics you're going to get with respect to ADS service. And along with this, we even have the multi-site applications, which we provide what's the state of multi-sites. As this is a global application, you have the stats about the multi-sites. Let's pick this one. As you could see here, in this barcoding over here, the site 1 and site 2 ADC, which are healthy, and you can see that what color code defines what, and you have all those details, like what's the request rate for these sites and what is the health of this. All these details will be provided even in respect to the multi-site apps. So in short, this is what about ADS service, and lot more going to add in ADS service. Okay, and this would be very interesting, and like we got very positive feedback from all our customers who have tried it in live, and they have tried it with their hands on, and they felt that okay, with one single service, I'm compensating with some 4 to 5 different services of the cloud, and it is easy to use, and it is investment proof for me. Let's suppose I switch from one cloud to the other cloud. Let's suppose right now I'm using AWS. Later I switch to Azure, or I switch to GCP. That with ADS service, that is foolproof enough. You don't have to buy again, and it's a very less ecosystem change. Like only a few changes, like instead of VPC, it's going to be VNet in Azure. That's a minimal change, but you will be more confident and you will be comfortable without any transitions, anything based on the business decisions too. And with the same one, you can cater to the network admin, you can cater to the app admin, you can cater to the AppSec admin. That's like a full package. That's what I could say that about ADS service. That's it, team. Thank you. Over to you for poll questions, Arvind or Carol.
Thanks so much, Avinash, for sharing that with us. So I'd like to take a quick poll for the audience. And based on what you saw today, let us know. Would you be interested in trying this product out as a tech preview? We're curious to get your feedback or thoughts here. Basically, does this product look interesting to you? And more importantly, is it useful and consumable to you? So if you let us know with a quick answer to the poll, we'd be very interested to capture your feedback and interest. All right, looks like we have just about a third of you answering in. I'll leave the poll open for just a moment longer. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Thanks for providing your answers with us. It looks like the content today was actually pretty exciting for you, but many of you are choosing to hold off. Maybe we will get you to try that out in the near future if you change your mind. For those that are interested in this, I wanted to conduct just a second poll here. We're aware that you're already using public clouds, Azure and AWS, and maybe even some Google Cloud. We're curious to get your take here. Do you have application workloads today that are running in AWS specifically? Let us know with a quick answer here, either a yes, no, or maybe you don't know. Maybe you just use the public cloud and that's all that's been provided to you. We love your candid answers and as always provide as many options as are possible. All right, we have just about half of you voting on that final poll question. Thanks so much for providing us with your answers. Just a quick check here. It looks like many of you are using the public cloud, but not necessarily AWS. That's very good feedback for us, and thank you so much for letting us know. All right, with that, I would like to introduce our second speaker today, and that will be Lena talking about our CWAP product. That's the Security Web Access and API Service product. Lena, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you well.
Cool.
And it looks like you are already presenter.
And can you see my screen?
We see your screen and looks like the slides are coming up. Good.
Great, great. So our next topic, part of Citrix Security Launchpad announcement for CWAP. Once again, what is CWAP? Citrix Web Application and API Protection Service. Another service, right? What is it? We launched it last year, about a year ago now, right? To protect your applications and infrastructure. So let me take a moment and tell you about that service. It has 3 parts in it: volumetric DDoS mitigation, web application firewall, and what was announced recently, bot management. So all 3 parts working together. Now, volumetric DDoS mitigation, right? You know that Citrix ADC does have DDoS protection, but with service, it is volumetric DDoS mitigation with 14 POPs or scrubbing centers all around the world with up to 12 terabits capacity or ingested capacity, right? What is different that all 14 scrubbing centers are POPs totally dedicated to security. We are not serving any content as some of our competitors, right? We're only protecting your infrastructure and your applications. Now, as I said, we have all 3 together components in CWAP service, but you can decide to get only DDoS mitigation, right? If you decide to use only DDoS mitigation part, you can have either always on as a part of when you have all 3 components, or you can even do on-demand DDoS, right? Now, second part, web application firewall. So as I said, our service was launched about a year ago, right? But technology behind it is Citrix ADC for both WAF and bot. Each scrubbing center or POP has Citrix ADC that provides web application firewall and bot management. So that is a proven technology, same consistent security posture that you have on Citrix ADC, you have on CWAP service. For web application firewall, you have same hybrid security model that includes positive security model. And that is a big differentiator because some of our competitors only have negative security model. And by the way, for WAF signatures on CWAP service, we have exactly the same set of signatures that is on Citrix ADC. Now, bot management that was introduced on CWAP service recently, right? You have exactly the same set of protections that you have on Citrix ADC today. So all three work together to protect your infrastructure and your applications. Now, how does it work? Very, very simple. As you see, users on the left-hand side, your customers, your users, remote employees, as well as attackers. And you can see your application on the right, and your applications can be on-prem, right? Even though it's a service, but your application, your infrastructure can be anywhere. Cloud, private cloud, public cloud, could be microservices application. To make it work, you just need to change DNS or BGP to point to Citrix WAP, right? To start protecting you for scrubbing, right away. Now, if you look at DNS example, right? If you have your application in a data center with, let's say, IP address 5.6.7.8, as you put your application on CWAP, you can see different IP, 1.2.3.4 on CWAP, right? What you need to do is just change DNS A record, right, to point from 5.6.7.8 to 1.2.3.4. That's it. And how long does it take? As long as DNSCTL takes, right? So you can be up and running just in few minutes. That's all it takes. And if you look how to protect your apps in hybrid multi-cloud world, right? Your applications can be in data center, behind public cloud, or on public cloud, behind CDN. Doesn't matter where they are protected exactly the same way as users come to internet, then go to scrubbing center, and clean traffic goes to your application, right? So again, what you need to change, DNS A record or CNAME, and you're good to go. And as I said, we have 14 scrubbing centers or POPs. And as you can see, 5 of them are in EMEA for you, right? And that allows us to have the lowest latency, right? You can see 5 in US, 5 in EMEA, and then 4 around the world, right? That latency is very low around everywhere. Now, bot management release, what does it include? You can see very simplified GUI, and I'll show you in a minute in a demo. So all protection with device fingerprint and bot trap, even CAPTCHA, everything that you have on Citrix ADC today for bot management, you can see here, right? And with one click, you can enable it. So let me go to demo, and while I'm doing it, Dave, let's launch this poll. First question about what challenges in security do you have today?
Sure, I'll go ahead and do that. If you'd let us know real quick before we get into the demo, what are some of the security challenges that you face today? Are you having trouble securing your apps, moving them into the cloud, preventing, or are you having trouble preventing data breaches or theft using your web apps or even their APIs? Is a challenge of yours securing your APIs? Or maybe the challenge for you is internal. Maybe you need it to, maybe your challenge is to meet compliance with things like PCI. And then finally, or the last option could be more than one of that you're facing is your challenge just protecting your apps from various DDoS or even bot attacks. We're curious to get your take. It looks like many of you have already voted. So we're going to go ahead and give you just a few seconds just to let us know whether you're having one or many challenges. It's very useful to us, and it helps Alina understand what to focus on as she goes through the rest of her demo. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out the poll. And just real quick before we jump into the demo, it looks like the most significant challenges that you face are with securing your apps, moving them into the cloud, preventing breach of data, accessing data that is not authorized using the web app itself or its API, as well as protecting the apps against various DDoS and bot attacks. So with that, now for the demo. Lena.
Sure. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. So glad to see that many of you are moving to cloud. So I guess our first topic, right, about ADS service as well as CWAP is right on point, right? Now, let's take a look at demo, right? You can see CWAP portal, right? It is not Citrix Cloud. It is different portal, Citrix Web Application and API Protection portal that you can see. When you log in, you can see main dashboard, or as we call it, strategic homepage. And it provides quick summary with inbound, right? You can see inbound purple, outbound, and mitigated traffic. So what does it mean? Inbound is total traffic that comes to your application. What we call outbound, that is clean traffic that actually comes to your application after mitigation. And red is mitigated traffic, traffic that we stop. And by the way, we never charge you for total traffic. We only charge for clean one, green, that actually goes to your application, right? And you can see everything in different time intervals. I just did 7 days, and you can do 1 hour, 30 days, right? What you can see on the top, and hopefully you would never see it for your infrastructure application, is event in progress, meaning attack, and mitigation is taking place. And we'll look there in a second, right? Just want to show you what is on main page and strategic page. You can see all 14 CWAP nodes around the world processing traffic, and geographic spread, right? Geographic overview where attack traffic is coming from. You can also see latest events, latest 5 events. You can also see all events, right? Click on events and see all of them. But on main page, you can see the latest one. So what are those events, right? Those are actual roll-ups of incidents, right? Altogether. And you can see for one of those, right? In one event, you can have multiple incidents, in this case, both WAF and bot together in one event. And you can also see your application traffic around all your applications, right? Everything on the main page. Now, if I click here, right, to see our event in progress, right? What can I see here, right? I can see attack, right? And it shows when did attack start, right? It's ongoing, so it does not have end time. You can see destination, and it can be multiple applications, right? Or it can be bigger block of IP addresses in some cases, right? Now, you can see here that attackers drop their volume as they realize it's not working as it is protection service CWAP in a place. Now let's take a look at mitigations. Now you can see in one event, right? You can see different incidents altogether, in this case, WAF and DDoS. Now for DDoS, for example, mitigation is associated with number of countermeasures enabled by SOC. So DDoS protection is fully managed. You don't need to do a thing. Okay? Let's look at countermeasures here, and they include DNS rejectors, right? Invalid packets, zombie detection. Just want to say what's different is about DDoS protection here, that in addition to all automated, right, countermeasure, we have 24/7 eyes and hands, right, in place. SOC team is watching constantly attack traffic and fine-tune countermeasures constantly. So in addition to all automated scripts or automated protection that's running all the time, right? So now let's take a look at WAF and bot, right? Protection. So for WAF and bot and layer 7 policies, we have framework that we call analyze, investigate, and action. And you can see all the information in interactive dashboard. Everything is clickable here. You can see what is threat landscape, what is attack surface here, right? And you can filter on one or multiple applications. I just filtered on one here, right? Threat landscape is captured within violation types. You can also see what is targeted, domain targets, IP targets. You can see URLs and even mouse over, long ones, and geo-distribution of the attacks. Origin in this case. You can see countries where attacks coming from. And by the way, with one click, you can stop, right, entire traffic from the entire country. Now, as I said, everything is clickable, right? If I click, for example, on cross-site scripting attack, I'm going to log page here, right? Violation log page. As you can see, we got the violation logs, and it has very detailed info, including reason for the incident and action taken. In this case, I put it just in log, not in blog. Now I can click here on I, right, to see additional data set. What is a policy associated here, right? You can copy everything to clipboard, clicking here, or just selecting it, or you can see all headers here, right? Now, search allows you to chain together complex queries for individual applications or multiple applications. Right now, I already have cross-site scripting here, and I can do anything here. I can say country, for example. What do I have here? Russia, for example, to get here, and I can chain more and more here. Now, noting that all violations came from single source IP, right? I can quickly add it to block IP list, clicking on plus, right? I click on plus and I can add it to block IP list if I wish. Likewise, if I understand that it was legitimate traffic, I can add relaxation rule right from here and just say, it's okay to go. It's not a violation. I also have ability to dive deeper in our investigation, to go to what we call enrichment view, right? And let me click on source IP, right? And it brings us to IP geopoint data, IP reputation, if you think of it. And you can see how attacks are trended, right? Where they originated from. And you can see IP intelligence info with real score and risk score. And you can even see specific violations. And you can see on the same page, buff violation logs, bot violation logs, if they're here, right, all together. And as I did it for IP, I can do, for example, for entire country, right? I can see what is it for entire country. And again, I can see WAF and bot violation logs, right, here all together. Now, let's take a look at bot, right? Bot dashboard, very similar to WAF dashboard. And now violation types here are bot violation types. And again, I can easily click here to see all the details, right? In this case for bot. And I also can look at details same way, right? And as, for example, for IP reputation, I put it in non-block. But again, I can quickly click on plus and add IP to allow or block list if I wish. Now, configuration is super simple. What you need to do to add your asset, right? And asset is basically just an IP address. That's all you need to do here, right? You just need to add IP address of your application. And if that is SSL, then you need to put or upload SSL certificate. Now, what happens? You're getting IP address that I was talking about, and you need to change DNS record to that IP address. How long does it take? A couple minutes. And policy here, right? Again, super simple for WAF and bot, right? You can see WAF settings all in one page, all done with one click, and very similar as I showed you with bot, right? So super simple. We can have you up and running in a few minutes. Hopefully, you would be interested in our solution. Dave, let's launch second poll to see who's interested in our solution.
Sure, thanks, Lena. So based on that fantastic demo covering all of those use cases, would you be interested in trying out the CWAP? Let us know. Just a quick yes or no. There's no maybe on this one, although not everyone has to vote. But thank you. We really appreciate your feedback and your interest. All right, with the third of you voting, I'm going to go ahead and call the poll. Thanks so much, Lena, for sharing us the product update and for the very animated demo. All right, thank you, everyone. We're coming up on the final topic for our webinar today, and that is all about our Citrix Secure Internet Access with Google Chrome OS. And presenting that content is Akshay. Akshay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you well. I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter.
Thank you, sir.
And I can see your screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Hey, so folks, thank you so much for joining us today. I do realize that you could be in 15 different places right now, and so the fact that you're spending some time with us is huge. My name is Akshay Kakar. I'm on the product marketing team for Citrix Secure Internet Access. If you've not heard about the product, no problems. We'll talk about it today. But essentially, this is our foray into cloud delivered security. And the product has done pretty well. And we'll talk a little bit about the success, and we'll also talk about something pretty awesome that we're doing with Google. It's already started what we're doing with Google, and there's more to come. So I'll probably take just about 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your time, and I'll let you go. But I'd really appreciate if let's be interactive. If there's any questions that you have, any comments that you have, do voice those. So, but before we move forward, I do want to have a quick understanding of how many of you actually understand or have heard of Citrix Secure Internet Access. So Dave, if it's not too much trouble, let's do a quick poll. How many of you are aware of Citrix Secure Internet Access? Perhaps some of you have not heard of it at all, and that's totally fine. Just let me know so that I can shape my conversation based on that. If you've heard of it but don't know too much, that's fine as well. Let's figure out as to how much you know, and then based on that, we can kind of shape the conversation. And lastly, you've probably heard about the solution. Probably you're exploring the solution. Probably you're exploring competitors. That's fine as well. So just let us know how far you are in that exploratory phase with Citrix Secure Internet Access. Dave, whenever you feel is the right time, let's pull it up. Okay, awesome. That's a pretty nice split. So there's some of you that have not heard of it, some of you that have heard of it but don't know much, and some of you that know about the solution. that those of you that know about the solution, I'm super glad. Thank you for learning about it. And what I'll do today, given that about 60% of us do not know too much about the solution, thank you, Dave. Let's close the poll. What we'll do is we'll do a quick introduction of what this product is about. For those of you that already know about the product well enough, perhaps some sound bites that we'll discuss today might be of benefit to you. So let's take a quick detour. Let's try and understand what SIA is about, and then we can move forward with the updates about Google Chrome OS and SIA and Citrix. So what is Citrix Secure Internet Access? It is a comprehensive cloud-delivered security product to protect direct internet access from workers everywhere. So today, you and I are most likely sitting at home right now. Some of us probably in a branch office, some of us probably in a cafe, hopefully none of us at the airport or in a cab or whatever. But a lot of us are sitting in a lot of different locations, and we are trying to access cloud-based applications. When we do this for fast access to cloud-based applications, in an ideal world, we'll be going directly from our endpoint device to the cloud. That's the shortest path, and often that will be the least latency path as well. Not always, but quite often. But the problem with this short path or this direct path between the endpoint and the cloud application, or the endpoint and the internet, is that there is very little security between you and the internet, or very little security between you and the cloud application. Which means that if I am a cyber criminal, if I'm a threat actor, then I can simply get onto the internet, use the internet, and just get onto your endpoint device. You might have some sort of an antivirus or an endpoint device, that's fine. But listen, a lot of these cyber criminals understand how to circumvent these security measures that you have. So what you do need is something a little bit more sturdy, more robust, more comprehensive, that sits between your endpoint device and the rest of the world. So it sits between you and the internet, sits between you and SaaS applications, without impacting your performance when you access internet or when you access SaaS applications. So you ideally want something that's cloud delivered, so that no matter where you are today, you could be in London, tomorrow you could be in Scotland, day after tomorrow you could be in Italy, after that you could be in Sydney, and then in California. No matter where you are, you want the same level of security, you want the same level of application experience. And that's basically what we have set out to provide. So how do we do this? Think of the stuff that you have in enterprise data centers, all security coolness that you have in the enterprise data centers. Some of you probably have secure web gateways, firewalls, and malware protection. That's fine. So we've taken all of that, plus added more functionality like a cloud access security broker, data loss prevention, sandbox functionality. We've taken all of this functionality, packaged it into a high performance architecture, and tossed it into the cloud across 100 different points of presence. Okay, so you've got everything that you have in your data center right now, plus more, into a high performance architecture, which means that there's minimal added latency, and it's tossed into at 100 different points of presence, which means no matter where you are, you would still be able to pretty much locally access this security stack. So you're not going to be backhauled to another country or to another destination just for security scrubbing. Your security scrubbing is going to happen pretty much locally through these 100 different points of presence. And so all data from your endpoint that's going out of your endpoint or coming into your endpoint is going to get scrubbed by the security stack from 100 different points of presence, and everything is going to get inspected, even if that traffic is encrypted. With the increase in cyber crimes, with the increase in SSL and TLS traffic, malware is being hidden in SSL traffic. And so we inspect all traffic, including SSL traffic. And even as the volume of SSL traffic increases, because this is a cloud delivered service, it scales in its ability to be able to inspect more traffic. So we inspect all traffic, we inspect all applications, we inspect traffic from all users, regardless of where those users are, and we block even the latest threats. So as a security administrator, or perhaps as an endpoint administrator, or somebody leading the infrastructure team, you don't have to worry about threats being released that your team is not updated with. So there could be a threat that was released, say, hypothetically, say in Japan a couple of hours ago, and our security product is going to receive updates about that threat in near real time and update the security cloud so that you and your employees remain protected against even the latest threats. We get threat intelligence from almost 10 different threat engines. So what we're talking about here is a high performance security architecture that protects your users no matter where your users are, no matter what SaaS application or website they're accessing. And the level of functionality that we can provide is just immense. So it starts off with minimizing risk exposure, identifying and blocking even the latest threats. And then there's measures such as preventing data loss. So if there is an insider threat, so there's a disgruntled employee, for instance, or perhaps there's a careless employee who is by mistake sending out an Excel file with sensitive information to his personal Gmail account. All of those things, you have ability to control all of that information, control all of that access, so that there is minimal exposure of sensitive data to the rest of the world. You can identify and manage SaaS applications. If there's any shadow IT in your organization, you can identify that, you can control that, and you can alert on risk incidents, which includes atypical behavior analysis. So if there's something that's not normal or that's beyond the baseline that's happening in your network, we can alert you on all of that. So this was a really quick introduction about what Citrix Secure Internet Access can do and what it is. Essentially, it's a comprehensive cloud-delivered security solution. And going back to the primary presentation, we launched this product on February 3rd of 2021. So we launched this product earlier this year. And with the help from all of you, this product has gained immense traction in the market. It's just significant traction in the market, including replacing existing cloud-delivered security vendors. So I'm sure some of you have heard about the existing cloud-delivered security vendors. The thing is that a lot of these vendors have challenges, whether that's from a technology standpoint, or whether that's from a standpoint of integrating with other solutions or integrating with Citrix technologies. Citrix Secure Internet Access is pretty differentiated. So this is one, for instance, I'm going to talk about one win over here that excited me quite a bit and is related to the Chrome OS discussion. So we were talking to this particular customer that recently decided to purchase Citrix Secure Internet Access. Their challenges were to secure workers everywhere. So they've got remote workers, they've got workers in branch locations. They need to protect those workers everywhere with granular policy, and also have that agility and scale for upcoming mergers and acquisitions. So they need something that's modern and that's sophisticated and comprehensive from a cybersecurity perspective, but they also need something that's simple to manage and that can scale to like hundreds more employees that they might be adding through mergers and acquisitions. And lastly, was that they wanted the ability to easily support Chrome OS devices. So the challenge with this customer was that they had another cloud-delivered security solution that was not compatible with Chrome OS devices. The folks on the endpoint side, one of the folks on the endpoint infrastructure side, realized that there was a lot of trouble when they were trying to get the endpoint, and the security solution was creating trouble in terms of how you can manage those endpoints and the user experience issues with the endpoints and the administrative experience issues with the endpoints. So the security solution was not compatible with the endpoint solution, which was Chrome OS devices, because of which the endpoint administrators as well as the security administrators were having challenges. So it might sound trivial when you say that, okay, hey, your security solution needs to be compatible with your endpoint solution, but it's not trivial, because at the end of the day, it can create a whole lot of challenges across hundreds of employees and across both your endpoint infrastructure teams as well as your security teams. So it started off with this challenge where they wanted something that can be supported on Chrome OS devices. Then we started exploring more. They told us about their agility requirements. They told us about the requirements for supporting hybrid workers. They also had existing Citrix products. So the fact that they were coming, they already had Citrix products and they were going to use a Citrix security solution, it kind of just worked well. So we went and we explained them about our product. And these were all the differentiators that they found. For instance, when they wanted to integrate with upstream SaaS applications, including business critical SaaS applications, they wanted a set of static IP addresses. Some of our competitors do not provide static IP addresses. They will provide you a randomized set of IP addresses, which means that if you want to do allow lists or block lists on upstream SaaS applications, that gets difficult. So because our product provides static IP addresses, without any hoops or hurdles to jump through means integrating with upstream SaaS applications becomes really simple. Another thing was the ease of managing Chrome OS devices because of native compatibility with Chrome OS. Then granular policies even in multi-user environments. So this customer had endpoints where multiple users would be using a certain endpoint device, and they wanted per user security policies. So user 1 would have a certain set of security policies, user 2 would have a different set of security policies, and the other cloud delivered security vendor that they were using were not able to provide this. And then just from a pricing perspective, at Citrix, we do not believe in too many add-ons. You get what you pay for. If you want a certain package, let's just say you want a data loss prevention package, we won't add 5 different things to it in terms of hidden costs. If you expect some certain types of costs, you're going to get those costs. And whereas with some of the other vendors, that was not the case. They realized that, okay, they bought a certain package, but they had to pay extra for additional capabilities within that package. And that's not something that we do. And then the intuitiveness of the UI. So there were multiple differentiators from an operational, logistics, pricing, and a technology perspective that persuaded this customer to switch from their existing provider to us. And the customer is really happy. I mean, this conversation started from the endpoint team and went all the way till the CISO. And the CISO was very happy with us. And this is a pretty large deployment. I'm not able to provide details right now because it's still in early stages, but we are moving forward. The customer has signed a contract. They're continuing to move forward with their implementation. And this is not the only customer. We've had multiple customers across Americas, Europe, Asia, and Australia. And some of those customers have gone in public and talked about our solution. So the solution is gaining traction, and we're continuing to build on it from a go-to-market perspective as well as a technology perspective. So talking about go-to-market, let's see what Citrix is doing with Chrome OS, right? So you're all aware that Google is a huge organization. Now Citrix and Google have had a long-standing relationship. Our DaaS products and our workspace products have been working with Google Cloud and other businesses within Google. This conversation that we are having today is about Citrix. So Citrix, multiple products within Citrix, integrating with Citrix with Google Chrome OS. So this conversation is with the Chrome Enterprise or the Chrome OS business unit within Google. Okay, so and what is this about? It's essentially how Citrix and Chrome OS complement each other from a technology perspective, and increasingly even from a customer success perspective, to ensure that you as a customer can talk to these two vendors that are going to come hand in hand, and they're going to simplify your IT modernization right from the endpoint all the way to your cloud applications. So on the endpoint, you've got the Chrome OS device, which is an amazing device. And we'll get into those details, which is an amazing device. On the Chrome OS device, you have the Workspace app. You can install Citrix Secure Internet Access agents as well. And then from that endpoint, all the way to your applications. And those applications could be sitting in Google Cloud. They could be virtualized applications through Citrix. They could be SaaS applications through Google Play. So all the way from your endpoint and the connectivity in between, which is through Citrix Secure Internet Access. So endpoint to Citrix Secure Internet Access to the applications sitting in Google Cloud. Everything can be taken care of by these two vendors. I'm sure you'll want some other vendors as well. Perhaps you might want a Splunk or something else, and that's totally fine. But what we're saying is that we can simplify a lot of this architecture because Citrix and Chrome or Citrix and Google essentially share this vision of delivering superior technology without making it complex. And that's the essence of this conversation. So deliver superior technology while making things simple for you. Okay. And see, we've done a whole lot of studies. We've used studies from outside as well, and we understand that that enabling employees to choose the applications and the devices they use helps these employees remain more productive. So today, some employees in your organization might want a Mac OS device. Some employees might prefer a Chrome OS, especially employees that are traveling. They might want something more lightweight. Or you as an organization might decide to do BYOD, or you might decide to do managed BYOD, things like that, right? So you want that choice of applications and devices that you give to your employees because that results in higher productivity. There has also been a significant increase in cyber threats, and this is well-known knowledge. I won't go into that into a lot of detail. And we know that IT infrastructure, if it is a little bit simpler means you get more time to focus on things that are strategic. So if you don't have to go through the mundane tasks of managing your IT architecture or of troubleshooting your IT architecture, then you get more time to focus on things that are more strategic. That's good for you in terms of just time management. That's good for you from a career perspective. That's good for you in multiple ways. So the whole goal here is provide employees what they need in terms of applications and desktops and devices, protect those employees against cyber threats, and make things simple for you. And all of this is done through Google and Citrix. And how do we do that? Firstly, we allow freedom to access any application, including Windows and Linux applications, on a Chrome OS device. Secondly, we provide stronger multi-layered security for users from Chrome OS devices. And lastly, we give you agility by reducing complexity across the endpoint, the connectivity, and the applications. Okay, how does that happen? From an application perspective, if you are using a Chrome OS device, you have access to a whole lot of amazing applications in Google Play. And Google Play is a managed app store, which means that you can control which users access which applications. You can control whether those applications are secure or not. You can control, there's a whole lot of policy that's available in Google Play. But then if you want to access traditional Windows applications or traditional Linux applications on a Chrome OS device, that's not always easy on a Chrome OS device. And so that's what you do is you put a workspace application, you use the Citrix services on a Chrome OS device, and through that, you can access any application. Even if it's a traditional homegrown Windows-based application that helps manage inventory or that helps manage something else in your organization, then any application can be accessed on a Chrome OS device using Citrix Workspace apps. So you're not limited to just SaaS applications. You can access any apps on Chrome OS devices with Workspace. Second, the Chrome OS device by itself is a secure device. So it has a read-only operating system. They're encrypted devices, a vertically integrated stack, a whole lot of cool features on Chrome OS devices to make those devices secure, which is awesome. But we believe in the whole concept of multi-layered security or defense in depth. It's a pretty standard best practice. And the whole concept is, let's just say you have a king and a queen in the medieval times and there's a war going on. You have a king and a queen and you want to protect the king and the queen. You're going to put multiple layers of soldiers. You're going to put the cavalry and the infantry and the gunmen and everybody in between the king and the queen and the enemy. So that's multiple layers of security between your prized assets and the enemy. And that's basically what we're doing. We are creating security on the endpoint device and in between the endpoint device and the rest of the world. And that security in between is Citrix Secure Internet Access. So it's the SIA product that we discussed earlier is the second layer of security that comes between the enemy, which is your cyber criminals, and the endpoint device, which is the Chrome OS device. So that multi-layered security model provides a better security for your end users and your data. So just some sample use cases. Let's just say you want to control the web content that gets accessed. You want to prevent those users from accessing websites related to piracy, because we know that malware such as Schleer, for instance, which is a very popular malware for macOS or for even for other operating systems, those you do not want those malware to be coming from piracy related websites. You want to block potentially dangerous command and control connections that might be coming from certain other countries that you do not do business in. So you want to block certain connections. You want to block file uploads to Dropbox accounts or Box accounts, or you want to protect personal access. You want to not allow access to personal Office 365 accounts. There's a whole lot of different functions you can do because of this solution. And then lastly, there is native compatibility of Citrix services on Chrome OS devices, which means that it takes literally minutes to provision Citrix services on Chrome OS devices, it's a lot faster to provision and it's a lot faster to manage. It's just really simple. And secondly, because the Chrome OS devices are designed to be zero-touch provisioning, Citrix services are cloud delivered services. There is no hardware to manage. It's all centralized management. And we continuously do R&D to improve our management plane. So because of that, there is simple management for everyday operations. And lastly, there is very little hardware that you're using. The only hardware you're using is at the endpoints. So native compatibility, simplified management for everyday operations, and reduced data center footprint, which essentially means that there is little hardware to manage and just easier operations for you. You don't have to break your back to deliver a more modern architecture. And that's the essence of what we're trying to say. So quick summary here. We secure the endpoint and we deliver an easy to manage endpoint through Chrome OS devices. We provide that secure connectivity with Citrix Secure Internet Access, and we provide access to every application through Google Play, Citrix Workspace, and the Chrome browser, right? So with Citrix Workspace, you can essentially, or Citrix DAS solutions, you can access any application, including Windows and Linux applications on Chrome OS devices. So it's a pretty strong solution with two vendors. You can get a whole lot of different services, which means that you reduce your vendor logistics. It simplifies operations. And let's just say you want to do a merger and acquisition, or there's organic growth in your company. It's a lot easier to perform those operations later on as well. And there are already organizations that are benefiting from this joint solution. All of these are public stories. If you just Google for, say, Synchrony, Google, and Citrix, you look for, you'll be able to find this public story. But otherwise, I think these slides will be shared with you and you can check out the stories later. I would suggest reach out to your Citrix contacts. I would really suggest, there's a whole lot of cool stuff that Citrix has developed. Even if you do not plan to do some sort of a hardcore modernization, it's always good to know what's out there. You probably aren't aware of a lot of the stuff that we've developed. So reach out to your Citrix contact. We have a special team of cybersecurity advisors. These guys have 20 to 25 years experience in the industry. So reach out to them, get an understanding of the latest best practices from them. They can also talk to you about your specific use cases, your specific architecture. They can have a conversation about replacing traditional architectures with new architectures, and what are the pitfalls to avoid, what are the challenges to avoid. So there's a whole lot of advisory that we can provide in addition to updating you about what is the latest stuff that Citrix has for you. So I would really suggest reach out to your Citrix counterpart, and then we can have that conversation. That's all I had today, Dave. If there are any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we can proceed.
Great, thanks so much, Akshay. I think there was one question here, and it may be a little bit off of what you were talking about, but it is related. And the question is, are you aware of any way to, or any service that would simulate a phishing attack that one could use or employ to teach their users?
That is a really good question. I'm not aware of a service that would simulate phishing attacks, especially. But that's a really good question. I am not aware of Citrix providing that service. I would suggest that the Citrix cybersecurity domain specialist team. These guys, as I said, they have tremendous experience in this industry. If you just reach out to your Citrix sales rep and then through them reach out to this team, they probably will have something for you.
Thanks so much, Akshay, for sharing with us that product update. You answered the question as best you can. And thanks so much, everyone, for asking the questions with us. So just closing things out, if you have not been aware of what Microsoft is doing, this is their week of the Ignite conference. And Citrix ADNS product line, specifically the ADC, was featured in one of their new product updates at Azure. And that's an integration using the ADC, or the VPX appliance specifically, when deployed in Azure, can be integrated with the brand new Azure Gateway Load Balancer. I've written a quick blog to talk about it and show you why that's important and all the great ways you can use it. The Gateway Load Balancer is an interesting new product in Azure. It effectively allows you to have a single point of entry into the network that can span multiple regions and resource groups. So if you have an ADC in multiple locations and you want to make them both available with a common IP address, you can do that using the Gateway Load Balancer. So I've got a link to the blog here. You're also welcome to view the more details about that with the link from Microsoft as well. And this was announced just yesterday at Ignite. Now, if you're not already using ADM Service to manage your ADCs and gain visibility of it, I just want to remind everyone that ADM Service has a specific area focused on security advisory features. Not only can you scan your various ADCs to see whether they're vulnerable, but you can automate config changes, find out what's vulnerable, whether you need to do the change immediately or if you want to do it later. Just ADM service and specifically the security advisory feature within it gives you that visibility to know what you're vulnerable to, whether you want to make the config change immediately, or maybe you want to do it when it's more convenient for your business. ADM provides all of that capability all within the security advisory panel within ADM service. And that makes it very easy for you to not only understand what your security posture is, but to also take changes and affect anything so that you don't get or are not made prematurely vulnerable to any exploits across your applications and the ADCs themselves. All right, so that's the end of the content for today. Thank you for joining us this month. We invite you to come back and see us again next month in December, where the spotlight topic will be all about cloud native networking for dummies. Basically, this is our great session where we're going to go and break down all about what we're doing with cloud native networking. That's Kubernetes, that's using microservices apps. And we're not just going to show you what we're doing that's brand new and advanced. We're actually going to break this down so that if you're new to Kubernetes or you're new to managing and monitoring cloud native apps, we're going to give you all of the great details to learn how to take advantage of those products and integrate them and gain visibility of them using Citrix. And then we'll have a quick announcement next month where we'll be introducing the ADNS community platform. And that's a great new community feature for us to get engaged with you, our audience. All right, thank you everyone. And that brings us to the end of another fantastic networking masterclass with ADNS products. And it only remains to thank you, our great crew of presenters. Thanks Akshay, Lena, Arvind, for your time and presenting the demos today. And also, of course, thank you to our audience for taking the time and sharing your day with us. Until next time, we hope to see you again in the month of December. And until then, have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.